everyone, I'm back with another episode of Four-Wheel Drive Talk, and I'm excited for today's video because we're going to be talking about the EcoFlow Wave through. Now, this is a brand new portable AC unit that I've been testing out for the last handful of weeks. Now, I haven't really had a chance to put the cooling function through its paces yet. It's been a little chilly outside for that. But I did test out the heating features on a recent trip up to Big Bear, and I have some thoughts on that. But before we get to all of that though, if you love gear reviews, camping content, or just want to stay cool or warm on your next outdoor adventure, make sure you give this video a big old fat thumbs up. And while you're at it, consider hitting the subscribe button as well. It really helps the channel grow and keeps me encouraged to continue making videos like this. Now, first off, yeah, the heater does work, and it works really fast. Now, EcoFlow claims that it can raise the temperature by 17 degrees in 15 minutes, and I found that to be pretty accurate up in Big Bear. Now, I didn't time it, but I will say it does heat things up pretty darn fast. Now, it'll take the edge off on the brisk morning with no problem. Now, that said, when you're running it off of the added battery, the heater is only going to last for a couple hours. So while it's a nice backup for cool weather trips, it's not a feature that I'd exactly buy this unit for. Cooling is still the star of the show here. And if you've watched some of my content in the past, you'll hear me echoing something quite often, and I'm certainly not going to skip that beat here. When we're talking about ways to stay warm in the winter months, electric has always been, I wouldn't say the black sheep, but it's the one that I recommend the least consistently out of all my videos. When you factor in, you have diesel, propane, gas, which are much more efficient. That said, this works fantastic. In case of emergency brake glass, you're going to get a couple hours of heat. But again, as I said a moment ago, the real star, where you really get excited about something like this, is for its cooling features, and this thing does it really well. Now, as I mentioned, I've been playing around with this over the course of the last handful of weeks, and the weather, again, hasn't been exactly air conditioning weather. It's been in the 60s at best. And so what I have done to make use of this time, aside from playing around with the heater side of it there, is getting a sense of running this on max. How long is that battery going to last when you're running it? Now, again, ambient temperature has been in the 60s and so forth, so you keep that in mind. But consistently, I've ran this down 4 separate times so far, and I'm consistently getting right around that 5-hour mark out of each battery, which is pretty awesome. So again, we'll see what happens. Obviously, when it warms up a little bit, that may be impacted. That said, let's take a look at some of the specs and see how the Wave 3 stacks up against its predecessor, the Wave 2, which incidentally I've been using for some time. All right, let's kick things off with the elephant in the room. The Wave 3 does offer 6,100 BTUs of cooling power. Now compare that to the 5,100 BTUs of the Wave 2, and the Wave 1 had 4,000. Now the Wave 3 boosts heating output as well. So you're actually getting bumped up to 6,800 BTUs now compared to the 6,100 on the Wave 2. The Wave 3 features LFP battery that provides up to 4,000 charge cycles to 80% capacity. In contrast, the Wave 2 provides 800 cycles with its NCM battery. That's actually a huge difference. Now, the Wave 3 has more functions as well, so you're getting the cooling, heating, auto fan, and dehumidification. Now, the Wave 2 only has cooling, heating, and fan modes. Now, in the weight department, the Wave 3 punches in at 33 pounds. The Wave 2 was 32 pounds, so the extra pound of weight that you're getting, or I'm sorry, you're seeing with the new one, well, you're getting a lot more functionality with it, which isn't a bad deal. Now, additionally, the Wave 3 model has features like you do have a water drain notification, which is pretty cool. So there's a little plug in the back of this here. If it happens to be plugged up, it's going to let you know that things are full that you need to empty it. Also, you get a hose with it that will automatically drain. You do have a pet care setting that allows you to set the temperature range for Fido or Kitty that you leave inside your camper van. You also have a quieter operation with this at 44 decibels on Eco mode. And speaking of which, you get up to 8 hours of cooling in Eco mode. Now, there are 4 types of charging methods. You have AC, DC, solar and the EcoFlow alternator charger control via the EcoFlow Oasis app, which is actually pretty cool. So you have a 500 watt, you also have an 800 watt, and we're going to have a review coming up on those here in the future as well. So in other words, EcoFlow has really made some very nice improvements with this. Now what I will say is once the weather heats up, and it's looking pretty like in a week here, we may see upper 70s. So I'll be getting out and putting this thing through its paces in where the ambient temperature is much warmer. So in the meantime, check out the description below for a link to check out the Wave 3 in more detail. Now you should know that EcoFlow has some actually pretty smoking deals right now on this unit, and again, so it's really worth taking a look at it for sure. So they're really ramping up inventory, pushing things out there in front of the 2025 camping season. So pretty cool stuff there. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or things that you would like me to see cover about this in the future. And don't forget to hit that like, subscribe for more gear reviews and outdoor tips. With that said, friends, I'm going to be shutting up the cameras, and I will see you in the next video.